Hello there, this is James S. Crofty, just 1978, and sometime late last year I watched all 70 episodes of the original Japanese version of the anime Cardcaptor Sakura, and especially after seeing some of the heavily butchered English dubbed version on UK television when it first came out, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Firstly, because it breathed new life into the quote incredibly stale and repetitive magical girl anime genre, but secondly, and far more importantly though, because of its refreshingly open and non-judgmental portrayal of love, relationships and attractions, regardless of sex or gender, something which, having now seen the full original version, I believe was savagely and deliberately cut from the English dubbed version for fear of corrupting children with the reality that yes, sometimes boys are attracted to and even fall in love with boys, and sometimes girls are attracted to and even fall in love with girls. Indeed, unlike in any other circumstances in which Western studios have cut the blood and gore or explicit sex and what have you from anime, Warner Brothers had absolutely no excuse for doing so in this instance, when literally all that was being depicted on screen was the most innocent and romantic depiction of love, relationships and attraction imaginable, only without strict heteronormative boundaries. As a matter of fact, although we in the West now have the audacity to condemn Nintendo for patching Tomodachi Life to quote-unquote prevent same-sex relationships within the game, it's interesting to remember that almost 20 years ago, a Japanese anime specifically aimed at young girls was depicting same-sex attraction, love and relationships as being no different from those of straight people, that Warner Brothers deliberately cut all of that out in order to avoid the accusations of indoctrinating children into accepting same-sex love and relationships. And on top of that as well, it's important to note that Cardcaptor Sakura and other animes and mangas have long been depicting same-sex attraction, love and relationships as merely being another aspect of human existence without the massive fanfare, publicity and attention-grabbing controversy of Western TV shows during the last 20 years or so, with the studios practically announcing from the rooftops that, behold, we've made a series in which all of the main cast are gay and all lesbian, or have made one of our female characters a lesbian in this TV series in order to jump onto the bandwagon. You may therefore begin praising us for being progressive now. Wait, what was that? Will we be making one of our characters bisexual as well, without also making them immoral or a pervert, and eventually forcing them to seek redemption by picking a side, in inverted commas? No, we don't want to open that can of worms. Whereas once again, almost 20 years ago now, although they never actually used the term bisexual and certainly never made a big deal of it, Sakura's older brother was in love with a woman before the series began, and by the end of it had confessed his love to his best friend, a boy in his high school class, who was the false identity of a personification of the moon. But that's when things start getting weird. In conclusion, in fact, the only real criticism that I can lay at the feet of Cardcaptor Sakura's depiction of love, attraction and relationships is that although it would be wonderful if we all lived in a world in which everyone accepted all love, attraction and relationships as being natural and normal, regardless of biological sex or gender, the sad reality is that we are still painfully distant from that utopia, and therefore depicting same-sex love, attraction and relationships as simply being accepted without any social strife or consequences resulting from them could be considered to be grossly naive and glossing over the struggles which Mogai individuals face across the planet. However, bearing in mind that the target audience of this anime was young girls, the almost fairy tale depiction of love, attraction and relationships can firstly be excused on the grounds that since when has magical girl anime in particular ever dealt with hard-hitting social issues directly? Secondly, that being aimed at young girls, it mainly approached the issue of attraction, love and relationships from the perspective of crushes and so-called puppy love. And thirdly, because it was aimed specifically at young children, its goal was apparently to help bring us one step closer to the world which I mentioned earlier by teaching their audience that being in love with another girl is no different from being in love with a boy. Finally then, having attempted to describe and explain the characters and their attractions and relationships in CCS at least 100 times now, the reality is that you need a chart to keep all of them in any kind of order. Having neither the time nor the desire to create one myself though, this chart which I downloaded from Google Images is the best that I can find, although it tells you essentially nothing if you haven't already seen the anime, so in the end you're simply going to have to watch the series for yourself, and I hope that you'll enjoy it as much as I did.